So, a common saying is that time heals all wounds. Do you agree with that? Because, in order to deal with some of our wounds or some of the, insidious patterns that we face in our lives, we do have to take a look at what's happened in our family. So, I'd be interested to hear your take on this very common saying that we hear.
I don't agree that time
Yeah,
heals
that's what I thought.
wounds. I absolutely don't. I think we need to re-examine what our definition of healing is in order to accept that quote as fact. I mean, even when you look at surgeries and scars, you know, you can heal from a surgery in a sense of your body being able to repair itself,
Hmm.
and get back to a point where you feel okay. But you now have scars, physical scars that are visible that you will always see, that has changed you. And so I think we need to accept that healing means we are truly accepting the changes that are happening as a result of the pain and the trauma and the things that we have gone through. And healing is an opportunity for growth, but it doesn't mean that things are fixed or that any of that pain just goes away. There will always, I think, be some type of lingering signs, and at least stories that we can share of what we've been through that have changed us forever as a result. And so, while many people hope that time will just make things go away, it doesn't. Whether it's a physical scar that you can see, or something that you can feel deep down, it will always be there.
So we have to be an active participant in our healing. And I don't see this happening, in mainstream society. Do you think it comes down to just lack of awareness, lack of education?
When it comes to generational trauma and generational silence, I can't say that I think it is a lack of education because I think the information about mental health is everywhere. We
Right.
all can log on to social media. We all
Hmm.
have Google at our fingertips. We all have free or accessible options through healthcare providers and ways that we can work on ourselves. I think the restrictions and the hardships that we face is having an inability to build those connections with family members who either aren't here and able to share those stories, or aren't willing to open up and discuss the past. I think that is the barrier. Um, Convincing our family members to do this work with us that requires communication. That's what's difficult because for so many years, we were taught silence as a survival tool. And for many people, they have convinced themselves that it works.
How do we navigate those conversations if we're dealing with a family member who does not really want to open up or is not used to having their past examined? How do you advise people to deal with that?
I always suggest a few things. One is remembering to respect people's boundaries. Just because you are in a place of, where you are ready and willing and comfortable discussing something doesn't mean someone else is. And so, while we can invite someone and open the door, it doesn't mean that they're ready and willing to walk through. So respecting the boundary is important. But I think what I found specifically with my father's side of the family, which I discuss a lot in the book, is
Hmm.
I needed to meet my dad where he was. I needed to use his preferred form of communication. and I needed to ask open-ended questions um, that could give me more than just a yes or no. And I also needed to come to the table with information that I felt was helpful for him. And so, I wasn't just this inquisitive child that, you know, called my dad one day and said, "Hey, I
Hmm.
want to ask you all these
Yeah.
things."
Yeah.
A lot of times our conversation started with, "Hey, Dad, did you know?" And I
Okay.
was telling him things about the family history that he had no idea. And that actually excited him
Hmm.
because no one had ever talked to him about those things before. And so it created a space where he felt safe opening up to me and sharing his version of the story.
Yeah, I think that's a really great approach that you took. I think I should try that on my dad as well because he's a man. He's a bit older and he's from that silent generation era where they just, they take the tough guy approach and it's like it's hard to get them to open up, especially about their feelings. So I love the idea of, giving there should be some give and take, some reciprocity, and that's a great way to make them open up.
Yeah, and
Um,
sometimes it doesn't need to start with the tough questions.
right.
Sometimes it's the easy questions, which are also helpful for us and things that we should know, like, where did you go to elementary school?
Mm,
Um, like, did you have a favorite food when you were growing up? And did you
mm.
have access to it all of the time? Just like, getting them to reconnect with a memory from childhood. Um, is something that often excites them, to be
Yeah,
able
I
to
know.
go
Yeah.
that far back and to see that someone actually cares about that stuff.
That's true. I mean, and the older people get, the more they have an affinity to like talk about the past and fond memories. In fact, they love it.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
They can go
do.
on and on.
And we should take advantage of it. I know many people don't, especially if you've heard the same story repeated over and over again, which is
Yeah.
something that happens
Yeah.
often,
Yeah,
but
I know. I know.
one day you'll no longer hear those stories again. And so, record
Mm,
the stories, write them down, pass them down. Um, if it matters enough to them that they're repeating it, it might matter
hmm.
to future generations.
What are your thoughts on those sites that analyze your DNA and look at your, I forget what it's called. They have some sort of archive where they look at your immigration history. What do you think of those?
Yeah, they are quite
Like
insightful. Um,
ancestry.com and such.
yeah, Yeah, they are quite insightful. I must admit, during my journey of trying to learn as much about my family as possible, I definitely did some DNA testing. Um, and I was able to learn quite a bit about myself and where my family had come from. And I was able to share that information with some of my family members who were not aware. The thing with stories is they change.
Hmm.
And, it's like playing telephone. I can tell you where my family comes from, but 2 or 3 generations from now, that person might have a very different story of where their family came from. And so, what I found when I did the DNA testing is that my family was not that aware. And I think it's not their fault as well. I am an African American woman. And so even saying that is such a complex thing because it shows the limited information that I have about my family history, knowing that at some point my family was brought here to America. And so for many generations, we survived what was happening to us, but where did it all begin? So doing the testing gave me those answers, which was really fun. And then it actually like helped me connect with a few second and third cousins and just like random people around the world that I probably wouldn't have if I didn't do it. So I know some people are against the sharing of the private information. For me, it was kind of worth it. I wanted to know. I needed more answers.